What is up people, world of electricity here. Today's video is going to be about a power supply, lab bench power supply, how to use it, and most importantly how to use it as a battery charger. So let us get started. Okay, so what exactly is a lab bench power supply? It's a variable power supply which takes in an input of 220 volts or 110 volts mains voltage and gives a DC voltage output and a DC current which can be varied using these potentiometers. You can alter the voltage and current, thus using it to simulate batteries or just use it as a normal power supply. It is similar to battery eliminators which are used with digital cameras and laboratory equipment, just that this is much more advanced and offers more flexibility. Okay, so the first thing we learn about the power supply is how to set a current limit. Setting a current limit involves restricting the current to a certain limit. If the current draw crosses that, then the voltage will drop, and it can act as a safety to prevent short circuits, first thing, and second thing, it can help in battery charging techniques. Now, in order to set the current, you need to firstly keep your voltage level to less than 10 volts. Preferably keep it to around 3.4 or like less than 5 volts to have a additional safety margin. Take your power supply's terminals and temporarily give a gentle touch. Now that you touch it, the red light glows. Do not hold it together for long. Given the fact that this red light glows, you can set the current limit, increase it or decrease it. So now that the current limit is 730 milliamps, it's kind of enough for now. And let me show you a small load like an LED bulb. This LED bulb requires around 2 volts. So setting the voltage to around 2.2 volts and connecting the terminals. Okay, this is slightly higher, needs around 3 volts. Okay, so at around 3 volts, the bulb is growing really bright and it's using 10 milliamps of current. Now, if you increase the voltage, then the bulb will burn out. So just make sure that you know the voltage requirements of all your devices before you connect them to the power supply. Okay, now that I've finished powering this particular light bulb, I would like to test it with this fan. This particular fan requires around 4.2 volts at a higher current of maybe 1.5 or 2 amps. So the first order of business, set the current limit to 2 amps. It's around 1.72, which is fine. Now set the voltage slightly to 3. Almost 4.2. Connect the terminals. Now the fan is like at full speed. Okay. So another nice use for the power supply is that you can set the output voltage to around 3.9 volts. That is the typical voltage you would feed into a power bank circuit and use the power bank circuit to charge up other devices. For example, I have another power bank here which I'm going to charge using this circuit. Okay, so like you can see here, this power bank is being recharged. Okay, the current limit is kind of being crossed, so there's a bit of fluctuation, but this power bank does get charged. Okay, and if not for these power bank circuits, what you can also use are these car chargers. These car chargers connect positive to this side and negative to this side, and set your voltage to around 12 to 13.2 volts, or you can go up to 14.4 volts, so that you can get maximum output current from your charger. Okay, so I'm going to connect my cable here. Okay, and yeah, the power bank is charging. You can use this to like charge up multiple devices. Get a charger which can charge like 3 to 4 things at a time and get this power supply. You can use this to charge many devices. Of course, I don't recommend this method for general people. Do not run to the store and get a power supply. No. For those who are electronic enthusiasts and use a power supply, this is just one of the other life hacks. Okay, so here comes an important part with the lab bench power supply, charging batteries. Now, if you're an electronics enthusiast, you'll probably have different types of batteries, and in every battery type, you'll have multiple batteries of the same type too. So, it is difficult to purchase a charger for everything. So, this lab bench power supply can really help you recharge batteries so that you can save on chargers. Okay, so the first important step to charge a battery with a power supply is to use a multimeter. Now, a lot of people might say the voltage is displayed here, so why do you need a multimeter? No, that's not the thing. In case of a battery, a minor voltage, even 0.1 volts, could result in basic overcharging, or sometimes the error is quite high. It could be like 0.4 volts or plus or minus 0.4 volts, and such high errors, which will definitely not give a good charging result. So what you need to do is use a multimeter and connect the probes to the output of the power supply. Okay, so this, for now, yeah, I can see that the multimeter is confirmed that the power supply's voltage is the same. Of course, do not trust the gauge of the power supply. Always check it with a multimeter, because it's just a mere probability as to whether the error would come or not. Just because it's same now doesn't mean it might be same next time. So, okay, now that you have 5.2 volts, it is ideal for charging 4 AA or AAA rechargeable batteries. In this case, I have 4 rechargeable batteries which are connected in series, and this is the output wires. So these are the output wires. I have 4 of these in series. So in order to charge it, I just need to give the connection to these. Of course, be very careful. Do not try it with your non-rechargeable batteries. That could bring out a dangerous result. Always use the rechargeable type batteries. Okay, I'm going to connect the battery to the power supply, and yes, it's consuming a current of 20 milliamps. That is what the power consumption is normally with AA or AAA batteries. So the charger is connected to the battery, and yes, it is charging. Now, if you cannot use a battery holder like how I am using, then there is a different method for charging batteries without a battery holder, and that is by the use of magnets. Yes, neodymium magnets. They are quite dangerous. Don't get them too close to your digital electronics. That will give detrimental results. However, keeping your digital electronics away, you can definitely use these neodymium magnets. Okay, so now if you do not have those battery holders, what you can do is get a set of neodymium magnets and connect your batteries together. Now, if you look at it, these two batteries are connected in series because of the neodymium magnet holding them together. Now, what you need to do is, per battery, your voltage should be 1.4 volts. In order to make sure that a battery is fully charged, you need to make sure that every single battery gets 1.4 volts. Now that I have two batteries in series, 1.4 multiplied to 2 gives 2.8 volts. Now again, I'm not sure if this is precise. You can check it with the multimeter first and foremost thing. Yep, 2.85 is fine, but then it's better to have it slightly low. Yeah, kind of like 2.83. Yeah, it's okay to have like 2.9 volts also, but 2.8 would be better. The precision of these power supplies are not very good, but this is fine because nickel metal hydride and nickel cadmium batteries do not mind too much. Lead acid too is okay with these minor fluctuations. However, there are separate precautions for a lead acid battery. Okay, so I'm going to connect these two terminals to the battery. Okay, so it's almost, the current is fluctuating because the connections are loose. Okay, so 110 milliamps. Okay, 90 milliamps. Yeah, it will continue charging. Just use another set of magnets and make sure that these crocodile clips remain attached to the batteries, and of course that will be really useful. So for example, yes, the battery is attached, it's charging. Okay, before we conclude, I would like to address two important questions. Firstly, whether we really need a lab bench power supply. Second, which lab bench supply to get, and what are the precautions. So I'm going to be addressing these questions. First thing is, normally get a lab bench power supply which can output a voltage of 0 to 30 volts and a current of 0 to 3 amps or 0 to 5 amps. Now even get a power supply like this which will be below $100. I recommend ordering these lab bench power supplies from a reputed manufacturer who will offer proper isolation and proper cooling systems. However, if you have your hands on a power supply that may not be the best, you are not trustworthy of its quality, then include a fan like this. Take a fan like this, give an external power supply to this fan, and use it as a cooler for the power supply. And do not try to take a lot of current from the power supply. These are a few important tips. And if you whether you need a power supply is based on what you totally do. If you do very basic projects where you can easily obtain batteries for it, or you just want to do basic repair where you do not really need output variable voltage and current output, then you don't need to go for a power supply. However, if you're a hobbyist who really wants to explore more in electronics, do new things, then definitely go for one of these power supplies. Now I understand that power supplies are quite expensive and not affordable for all, and so in order to eliminate the use of this power supply, I'm going to make a video on a DIY lab bench power supply which can be made at a lesser price and can give a voltage of up to 15 volts and current of up to 2 or 3 amps, which can be made at home easily, and you need not invest on a very huge one like this. So if you have any questions, please put it in the comment section below, and DM me on my Instagram for any queries, or if you want the links to purchase some specific products, I'll be happy to do that. Okay, so I'm concluding the video for now. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, share and subscribe. Stay safe but have fun, and don't hesitate to try new things. We'll see you in the next video.